The massive quantum prison drifted silently through the endless void of space, a crystalline structure that looked more like a beautiful geometric sculpture than a containment facility. Countless alien civilizations had contributed to its construction, a testament to how terrified they were of the single human trapped inside. Kim sat cross-legged inside her cell, surrounded by pulsing energy fields that shimmered with impossible colors. Her plain gray research uniform seemed completely ordinary, but her eyes told a different story, sharp, calculating, with an intensity that made the alien guards uncomfortable whenever they passed her containment chamber. The prison ship was a marvel of technological engineering. Massive plasma engines hummed quietly, maintaining a precise trajectory through a remote sector of the Andromeda cluster. Holographic monitoring systems tracked every microscopic movement, every breath Jay took. Robotic maintenance drones continuously scanned the quantum barriers, ensuring not a single molecule could potentially escape. Outside the primary containment chamber, alien technicians from 7 different star systems monitored her constantly. Holographic displays showed her vital signs, brain activity, and quantum resonance levels. Some of the younger alien researchers whispered among themselves, wondering what could make a single human so dangerous that multiple galactic civilizations would collaborate to imprison her. Jay understood their fear. She had seen their classified records, glimpsed the technologies she had accidentally discovered during her archaeological expedition. The artifact she found wasn't just a scientific breakthrough. It was a potential reset button for entire dimensional realities. A low-level maintenance robot approached her cell, its metallic limbs moving with precision. Its optical sensors scanned her, recording every minute detail. Jay didn't move, didn't react. She simply watched the machine with an almost amused expression. The prison itself was designed like a massive geometric puzzle. Layers of quantum-locked barriers prevented any potential escape. Each barrier was created using technologies from different alien civilizations, a collaborative effort that represented unprecedented cooperation among species that had previously been bitter enemies. Holographic windows showed the surrounding space, a breathtaking view of distant nebulae and star clusters. But these were no ordinary windows. They were sophisticated energy shields capable of redirecting quantum particles, preventing any potential manipulation of the surrounding space-time continuum. The archaeological dig site stretched across a desolate moon, orbiting a gas giant, its surface scarred by millennia of cosmic radiation. Hannah Park adjusted her environmental suit, the helmet's display flickering with geological data and radiation warnings. What started as a routine research expedition would soon become the most significant discovery in human history. Her team of researchers moved carefully across the rocky terrain, specialized scanning equipment probing deep beneath the moon's surface. Advanced robotic drones buzzed overhead, creating 3-dimensional maps of the underground structures. Something about this location felt different, an inexplicable energy that made the hair on the back of Hannah's neck stand up. The first indication came as a subtle vibration. Most of the team dismissed it as seismic activity, but Hannah knew better. Her years of xenoarchaeological research had taught her to trust her instincts. She signaled the drone team to focus their scanners on a specific rock formation that seemed slightly out of place. "Wait," she called through the communication channel, her voice steady but intense. "Something's not right here." The drone's advanced sensors began revealing an extraordinary structure, hidden beneath layers of compressed rock and cosmic debris. It wasn't natural. The geometric precision was too perfect, the energy signatures too complex to be a random. Geological formation, hours of careful excavation revealed a chamber unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. The walls seemed to pulse with an internal energy, shifting between solid matter and something that defied current scientific understanding. Hannah's specialized translation algorithms worked overtime, attempting to decode the intricate patterns etched into the chamber's surface. Her research assistant, Sung Ho, approached cautiously. "Dr. Park, these energy readings are off the charts. We should call for additional support." But Hannah was focused on a central pedestal that seemed to be calling to her. An artifact rested there, a crystalline object that looked like it was simultaneously solid and liquid, spinning slowly without any external force. Her gloved hand reached out almost involuntarily. The moment her fingers touched the artifact, everything changed. A massive surge of energy erupted from the object, creating a quantum wave that expanded rapidly. The research team was thrown backward, their protective suits creating temporary force fields. But Hana remained connected to the artifact, her body becoming a conduit for an ancient technology beyond human comprehension. Holographic interfaces erupted around her, displaying complex mathematical equations and dimensional blueprints that would take centuries to decode. The artifact was more than a technological relic. It was a key to understanding the fundamental fabric of reality itself. Alien monitoring stations across multiple star systems immediately detected the energy surge. Long-range quantum sensors lit up with warnings, triggering emergency protocols that had been waiting millennia to be activated. Whatever Hana had discovered was far more significant than a simple archaeological find. The research base became a frantic hub of activity. Communication channels exploded with data. Scientific teams from Earth and various research stations scrambling to understand what had just happened. Satellite networks began receiving fragmented transmissions that seemed to contain information from multiple dimensions simultaneously. Hana's body absorbed the artifact's energy, her neural pathways expanding beyond human limitations. She could suddenly perceive realities that existed between quantum states, universes nested within universes, potential timelines branching like complex mathematical trees. Her team watched in a mixture of terror and fascination as Hana began to change. Her eyes reflected impossible colors. Her movements became synchronized with complex mathematical patterns. She wasn't just experiencing the artifact. She was becoming a living translation of its impossible technology. Distant alien civilizations that had been monitoring human technological progress suddenly went into high alert. Emergency councils were convened. Ancient defensive protocols were activated. The human researcher had done something no species had managed in millions of years of galactic exploration. The Galactic Council's emergency chamber pulsed with tension. Representatives from 7 advanced civilizations sat around a massive holographic display, their collective anxiety thick enough to cut with a quantum blade. Hana Park's discovery had triggered protocols that had been dormant for millennia. Massive. View screens showed multiple perspectives of the lunar research site. Where once stood a stable research base, now existed a quantum anomaly that defied all known scientific understanding. Energy signatures danced across the screens, impossible patterns that threatened to rewrite the fundamental laws of physics. "We cannot allow this to continue," declared a crystalline being from the Xylorian star system, its translucent body shifting with agitated colors. "One human has discovered technology that could destabilize entire dimensional realities." Robotic. Interceptor ships began converging on the lunar site. These weren't ordinary spacecraft. They were living machines, biological technological hybrids capable of adapting to the most extreme quantum environments. Each ship carried specialized containment technology developed through centuries of collaborative research. Hana stood at the epicenter of the quantum storm, her body now a conduit of impossible energy. Research equipment around her had long since melted or transformed into complex geometric structures that seemed to breathe with an internal life. Her research team had been evacuated, but she remained completely calm, completely focused. The fuel. First containment attempt came as a quantum suppression field, massive energy waves designed to neutralize extraordinary molecular interactions swept across the lunar surface. Any normal being would have been instantly neutralized, but Hana simply absorbed the energy, her body becoming a prism that refracted. The containment attempt. "Impossible," muttered a robotic analyst, its computational systems working overtime. "Subject is not just resisting, she's learning from the containment technology." Emergency protocols escalated. The Galactic Council activated a combined technological defense system that represented the collaborative effort of civilizations that had previously been bitter enemies. Quantum locks, dimensional suppressors, and reality stabilization fields converged on Hana's location. Spacecraft from multiple star systems surrounded the moon. Some were organic ships that looked like living creatures, Others were geometric metal constructions that defied traditional engineering principles. Each carried technology developed over thousands of years of scientific research. A specialized containment vessel began its approach. Unlike traditional prison ships, this was a living system, a combination of advanced technology and biological engineering. Its hull could adapt, could think, could predict potential quantum escape routes with millisecond precision. Anna watched their approach with an almost amused expression. She wasn't fighting, she was studying. Every attempt to contain her was another lesson, another opportunity to understand the fundamental structures of reality. The lunar surface began to destabilize. Quantum rifts opened and closed in milliseconds, creating windows into alternate realities. Robotic drones captured impossible images, potential futures, parallel dimensions, glimpses of realities that should not exist. Prepare maximum containment. Protocol, commanded the Galactic Council's primary administrator, a being that looked like a fusion of liquid metal and pure energy. We cannot risk this spreading. The containment ship deployed its primary systems. Quantum locks began to form, not just physical barriers, but complex mathematical constructs that could theoretically suppress extraordinary molecular interactions. These were technologies so advanced they could potentially freeze a being's molecular structure between states of existence. Hannah's body began to respond, not with resistance, but with an almost scientific curiosity. She was analyzing the containment technology faster than the systems could adapt. Each quantum lock became another piece of information, another lesson in understanding reality's fundamental structure. The final containment sequence began. A crystalline prison materialized around her, a structure that was simultaneously a physical object and a complex mathematical equation. It could suppress molecular movement, quantum interactions, and potentially freeze a being's fundamental existence. As the prison closed, something extraordinary happened. Instead of being confined, Hannah seemed to be studying. The Galactic Council watched in collective terror and fascination. They had imprisoned something far more dangerous than they could comprehend, a human with an unlimited capacity to understand. End of Part 3. The galaxy erupted in chaos. A massive interstellar conflict had broken out between the Centauri Confederation and the Quantum Dominion, drawing every available military resource away from Hannah's quantum prison. Massive battleships exchanged quantum-powered energy blasts, creating spectacular explosions that illuminated entire star systems. Monitoring stations around Hannah's containment vessel suddenly found themselves with minimal supervision. Robotic systems continued their routine checks, but the intense war created a web of communication disruptions that would prove fatal to their carefully constructed plans. Inside her crystalline prison, Hannah's fingers began tracing intricate patterns. They weren't random movements. Each touch was a calculated interaction with the quantum barriers. Her understanding of the containment technology had become so profound that she was literally reading the prison's molecular language. The first crack appeared almost invisibly, a hairline fracture in the quantum lock that would have gone unnoticed by any standard monitoring system. But for Hannah, it was an invitation, a tiny window of opportunity that most beings would never comprehend. Alien technicians on distant monitoring stations continued their routine checks, completely unaware of the silent revolution happening within the containment cell. Holographic displays showed normal readings, stable energy patterns, consistent molecular structures, nothing to suggest the impending breach. A nearby asteroid field became the perfect distraction. Stray weapons fire from the ongoing galactic conflict caused massive rock formations to break apart, creating electromagnetic interference that further disrupted monitoring systems. The universe itself seemed to be conspiring to create the perfect moment of escape. Hannah's body began to shift, not physically, but at a quantum level. She was becoming something between matter and energy, a state of being that defied traditional, scientific understanding. The quantum locks that were meant to contain her were slowly becoming her learning tools. Robotic defense systems around her prison began to malfunction. Subtle quantum manipulations caused their computational matrices to glitch, creating momentary windows of vulnerability. Each system failure was carefully orchestrated, a precise surgical approach to breaking free. The war raging outside created the perfect chaos. Massive starships exchanged devastating blows, creating energy signatures that masked the subtle quantum manipulations happening within Hana's prison. Entire star systems became battlegrounds, drawing attention away from a single containment vessel. Quantum locks designed by 7 different civilizations began to fail. Not through brute force, but through an elegant understanding of their fundamental structure. Hana was essentially teaching herself how to become free, using the very technology meant to imprison her. Holographic warning systems suddenly erupted with alarm. Quantum stability readings went completely haywire. The crystalline prison began to show signs of molecular instability, not from external force, but from a fundamental restructuring happening from within. The breach wasn't violent. It was elegant. Like a flower slowly opening, the quantum barriers began to dissolve. Hana's body transformed from a solid state to something that existed between dimensions. She wasn't breaking out, she was transcending the very concept of containment. Alien defense systems struggled to comprehend what was happening. Their most advanced technologies, developed over millennia of scientific research, were being systematically decoded and rendered ineffective by a single human researcher. As the final quantum lock failed, Hana emerged, but she wasn't a conqueror, wasn't angry. She was a researcher who had just completed the most extraordinary study in galactic history. Her eyes reflected realities that no single civilization could comprehend, windows into potential futures, alternative dimensional structures. The evil war outside continued, oblivious to the more significant event that had just occurred. A human had just demonstrated that the most powerful technology in the universe wasn't a weapon, but understanding. Hana looked around, taking in the vast expanse of space. The universe had tried to contain her, and in doing so, had only helped her understand its most profound secrets. End of Part 4. The galaxy held its collective breath as Hana emerged from her quantum prison. Massive communication networks across multiple star systems suddenly lit up with unprecedented data streams. What had been a containment mission was now transforming into something nobody could have predicted. Alien civilizations watched in a mixture of terror and fascination. Holographic displays in countless command centers showed her quantum signature, a pattern so complex that it made traditional scientific understanding look like primitive child's play. She wasn't a weapon. She was a key. The first delegation arrived from the Orion Collaborative, a coalition of 3 advanced civilizations known for their scientific diplomacy. Their spacecraft was a marvel of biotechnological engineering, a living vessel that could adapt to the most extreme quantum environments. As they approached, sophisticated scanning systems tried to understand the being they were about to encounter. "We need to communicate," transmitted the lead diplomat, a being composed of crystalline neural networks. "Your discovery threatens multiple dimensional realities." Hana's response was unexpected. Instead of aggression or defense, she began projecting complex mathematical equations that danced like living art across their communication interfaces. These weren't just numbers. They were solutions to problems that had plagued galactic civilizations for millennia. The quantum artifact she had discovered could do something extraordinary. It could heal interdimensional rifts, massive wounds in the fabric of reality that had been slowly destroying entire star systems. Civilizations that had been isolated for thousands of years could now potentially reconnect. Robotic analysis systems worked overtime, processing the incredible data. Hana was demonstrating technologies that could stabilize collapsing star systems, create communication bridges between isolated civilizations, and fundamentally reshape understanding of quantum mechanics. The prison was never about containing a threat, Hana explained, through a complex quantum communication protocol. It was about giving me time to understand. Alien scientific teams began arriving from multiple star systems. Some looked like living crystalline structures, others were biomechanical organisms that defied traditional biological classifications. Each came with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. The artifact she had discovered was more than a technological breakthrough. It was a universal restoration tool. Civilizations that had been on the brink of extinction could now find pathways to recovery. Entire star systems that were slowly dying could be rejuvenated. Quantum communication networks began sharing her discoveries. What had been a potential threat was now becoming the most significant scientific breakthrough in galactic history. Hannah had transformed from a prisoner to a potential savior of multiple civilizations. Specialized research vessels surrounded her, their scanning systems working continuously. They weren't preparing for combat anymore. They were preparing to learn. Every movement, every quantum signature became a potential lesson in understanding reality's most profound mysteries. The beings who had imprisoned her now approached with a mixture of desperation and hope. Their most advanced scientific teams analyzed her quantum signatures, realizing that humanity's potential was far beyond what they had ever imagined. "We were wrong," transmitted the Galactic Council's primary administrator. "You are not a threat. You are an opportunity." Hannah's quantum projection showed something remarkable: pathways of communication, restoration techniques, and dimensional healing processes that could fundamentally reshape galactic civilization. She wasn't interested in conquest or revenge. She was interested in understanding and healing. Robotic systems and biological entities worked together, analyzing her discoveries. The quantum artifact she had found was essentially a universal reset button, not for destruction, but for restoration. Civilizations that had been fighting for millennia could now find peaceful communication channels. As she looked out into the vast expanse of space, Hannah understood something profound. Humanity's true power wasn't in weapons or conquest. It was in an unquenchable desire to understand, to explore, to heal. The galaxy watched in collective amazement. A single human researcher had just rewritten the fundamental understanding of reality. What had begun as a potential threat had transformed into the most significant scientific discovery in galactic history. Hannah's gentle smile reflected a simple truth: knowledge was the most powerful force in the universe. End of Part 5. She had found the ultimate technological key. The moon's surface began to destabilize, quantum rifts opening around the research site. Protective shields barely contained the expanding energy. Something monumentally significant was happening, a moment that would forever change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe, and at the center of it all was Hannah Park, a researcher who had just become something far more than human. End of Part 2. The robotic companion's electronic voice responded with clinical precision. Continuous monitoring indicates her brain activity remains consistently high. Probability of escape attempt 0.00003%. Jay allowed herself a slight smile. They had no idea how close they were to being completely wrong. The quantum prison's outer hull was composed of a rare metamaterial that could absorb and redirect energy signatures. Multiple redundant cooling systems prevented any potential heat buildup that might compromise the containment systems. Backup generators were strategically placed at quantum-entangled points, ensuring continuous power supply. Surrounding the primary ship were 3 additional defense vessels. Each was equipped with advanced weaponry capable of destroying entire planetary systems if necessary. Their presence was both a warning and a promise, a demonstration of the galactic community's absolute commitment to keeping whatever Jay represented completely isolated. Inside her cell, Jay continued her silent observation. Her fingers occasionally twitched, tracing invisible patterns in the air, subtle movements that would have seemed completely innocuous to an untrained observer. But these were calculated interactions with the quantum barriers, slow and methodical, probes testing the limits of her containment. The universe held its breath, unaware that the most significant moment in galactic history was quietly unfolding within this crystalline prison with a single human at its center. End of Part 1.